Jason, this last election saw record gains for the Republican Party with men, but not men necessarily of any specific race. All men moved in that direction, black men, Hispanic men. Why did this happen, and do you see it continuing?
Well, it happened because anytime you deny people masculinity, you make it scarce, you make it more valuable, you make it more attractive. And so I think many men have come into the understanding that we're in a battle of dominion and leadership, and like, who's going to actually lead? Are we going to give into the matriarchy, or are we going to continue the patriarchy? And I think many men have come into the understanding that we have nothing to apologize for as men. The history makes sense. The things that were established in the workforce were a product of necessity, not of, hey, we're going to be sexist, and so we're going to go out here and blow up mountains to pave a road through the West. Women weren't saying, hey, I should be doing that. Men were doing that. Men were climbing up on top of skyscrapers and building these buildings. They were roughnecks, and many of them fell to their death or got injured. Women weren't saying, hey, I want to do that. Women weren't saying, you know what, I should, you guys are fighting with the Indians, I should be doing that. Technology has fooled everybody into believing that women can do what men have done. And so now that we all have DoorDash and no one actually has to go out and hunt, if they don't want to, we've convinced ourselves that, you know what, man, if things had been right, women would have invented air flight. It would have been the Wright sisters, not the Wright brothers. And it's just not true. Men by nature value freedom more than safety. Women by nature value safety more than freedom. We have a country that's built on freedom, and it's going to take men to protect that. And so I just think people have come into a full understanding of how we got here, that we keep softening things and leaning more into feelings. Well, if you feel like a woman, I'm going to have to ignore your bat and balls. That's something that only a feminized culture would buy into, that, feelings control everything. At some point, data, logic, truth, facts. And again, this isn't me taking a dump on women, because, love them to death, can't live without them. They play a super, super valuable role in society, but they are a bit more controlled by their feelings than men, and that's harmful to a culture. And so when you sit there and say, well, if all these illegal immigrants want to come through the border, I cannot. Well, as a man, I'm like, no, man, we got to draw a line in the sand. There has to be rules to this house. Not everybody can just walk up into this house and claim that they're part owners of it. There's just tough things that men are going to have to do, and hopefully we're in the process of doing them. And Donald Trump has so represented like true male masculinity. And yes, I wish that he spoke a little better sometimes, but not really. The man got shot in the face, stood up and said, fight, fight, fight. If you can't get behind that as a man, I feel sorry for you. And so I'll go back to the assassination attempt. It just kind of showed you who the real man was. And it exposed the Democrats and just how weak and emasculated and, in my view, violent, irrationally violent that they are. And so I'm not surprised, and I do think the trend will continue as long as, we don't get too intoxicated with our victory on November 5th and actually continue to do the work.